Our next speakers are Leigha Hubbard and Will Hauck. Leigha is Senior Manager, Consumer Data and Analytics at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, where she leads the Consumer Data and Analytics team for the AJC. She holds 2 business degrees, one with a focus in accounting and information management, as well as business analytics and supply chain management. Leigha has worked with AJC for the past 4 years, spending much of her time building up the data and analytics practice. Will Hauck is Senior Director of Consumer Revenue at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, where he leads the consumer revenue team, which includes subscriber acquisition and retention, consumer analytics, revenue planning, and consumer operations. He began his career at AJC and Cox in 2005 after graduating from the University of Tennessee with a BS in statistics. The entirety of his professional career has been spent at Cox, working in a variety of roles focusing on data science, analytics, and operations.
Our first slide was introductions, but that's a better introduction than we could have given ourselves.
I think we should spend another 5 minutes on them.
I'm Will. I've been with the AJC for about 15 years. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. Most of that time has been in analytics and data science. I now have a larger role over consumer revenue, which includes consumer data and analytics as well. Went to the University of Tennessee, graduated with a degree in statistics and minor in economics, and came right out of college to Cox and into the AJC.
Right, yes, and I also went to Tennessee, and I'm pretty sure that's the only reason why Will hired me. So yes, I am a Senior Manager of Consumer Data and Analytics. I've been with the AJC for about 4 years. And I'm happy to be here.
We're both looking forward to the Vols beating Alabama tomorrow. I'm sure everybody else feels confident as we do.
That is not a joke.
So first of all, just a little bit about the AJC. We got our start in 1868. So last summer we celebrated 150 years serving quality journalism across much of the Southeast. And so we did a series of prints on historic covers and still going strong to this day. So before diving into analytics, I wanted to talk a little bit about the changing media landscape. In the 80s, so my dad worked in newspapers as well, and he was in the advertising side of the business. And so when I talked to him, he talks about how there were, talking even back then in the early 80s about media fragmentation, about how the onset of cable news, the 24-hour news cycle, really was a risk to the business, and that was in the early 80s. The 90s, print revenue really peaked, and this was really the boom years for newspapers up until sort of the digital era took hold. And this is really the beginning of when news started becoming a commodity. One key point there on that is publishers made a really big mistake really early in the internet era, which set the tone for the entire market to this day, still does, which is online content, digital content equals free content. We are paying the price for that to this day. We're trying to find a way to kind of reverse that trend. So in the 2000s, really started the race to the bottom for media content online. And by that I mean clicks and click volume were prioritized as the key KPI for performance of digital media. Everything was ad-only revenue-based, and when that is the case, it means click volume is the reason to be in business. Oh, that was a good recovery right there. Whew. So the performance based on click volume is really, it comes at the expense of quality journalism. So there are lots of clickbait. Everyone's run into all of that online, and it really reduces the quality of journalism as a whole. So in the 2010s, the rise of VC-funded digital news organizations, BuzzFeed, for example, received hundreds of millions, billions of dollars in capital investment, and this accelerated scale. So BuzzFeed, for example, was able to generate billions of clicks per month on cat videos and lists, right?
Quizzes. Don't forget.
The quizzes are big, yes, that's right. So when you combine that with platforms like Facebook, who bring a large-scale audience to publishers, it really triggers an even more accelerated path to click volume and scale is the only thing that matters, which further reduces the quality of journalism. So just a little bit about the platform evolution that we've been on. So we're a newspaper, so the printed product has really been our focus for those 150 years. But we also kind of realized that this internet thing is probably not going to go away anytime soon. So for the last 10 years, we've really been focusing on building out our digital footprint, our digital focus, and investing there. First in the desktop website, that gave way to the mobile shift, now to apps, and now to onto distributed platforms. So the one key thing with distributed platforms is you have to really think about who you want to be as a brand and as a company and as a digital media company. The services like Apple News Plus, for example, they may offer good benefits to national, international publications that get a lot of traffic and high click volume and are well known internationally. For local media companies like ours, there's not a lot of value there for us. What Apple cares about is there's value for them and there's value for their consumers who are paying them $9.99 a month for Apple News Plus, and they're taking half of that and giving the other half to the publishers based on engagement with the content. So that doesn't really offer us a very realistic revenue future, depending on things like that. So our sort of strategy has been go where the audience goes. But the key piece to that is we cannot lose ownership of the user and consumer relationship. When we do that, we lose control of our own destiny and our own sort of path to sustainability. Okay, this one is interesting. So I got to the AJC in 2005. 92% of the revenue in 2005 was advertising print revenue. 8% consumer revenue, with probably double the number of subscribers and volume that we have currently today. Things like classified advertising lost hundreds of millions of dollars overnight. Craigslist and eBay, as they sort of gained traction and grew significantly, it wiped out classified advertising for newspapers across the world, really. The other shift has been in national retailers. So as national retail brands make decisions on a national level to move away from print media, there's really no control over that. So it's a really non-controllable part of the business. And that has happened and accelerated and continues to this day when losing one national client means a significant percent of the total advertising revenue on the print side. So fast forward to today and next year. The revenue is really a 50-50 proposition for us. What keeps me up at night, however, is that so right now 50% of digital revenue is advertising, and on the subscription side, the digital-only subscription side, 10% of our revenue is based on subscriptions. Lots of reasons for that. Setting the stage in 1995 as all print or all digital media is free media. That's part of it, and also we have subscribers paying $56.99 a month for a 7-day printed circulation. the top that we would ask from a digital subscriber is $14.99. So the economics are significantly different, and the transition is continually hard because we still have to print and deliver hundreds of thousands of papers. But consumers are feeling the price impact of what it costs to do that. So this is a bit of a startling chart here. So the blue bars are the subscription volume over time. So it might be hard to see. 2012, I'm getting away from that thing.
It's the one attached to you.
Yeah, I guess you can't have two at once. The blue bars is subscription volume. So you can see January of 2012 through really September of 2019, steep declines. There's been some upswings. Those are mostly seasonal sales. And so the volume has been really difficult to sustain. So what we had to do is increase the price that we charge for a subscription to the printed paper. The green line is the average monthly rate that those subscribers are paying on the same trend, on the same timeline. So we've essentially doubled the rate that an average subscriber pays for printed delivery. And we've also now deliver less daily copies than we did then. So less product, more rate. We're starting to see sort of diminishing returns from this pricing. I will say the pricing that we do is based on an individual and dynamic model that Leigha created. And she'll talk more about that and how we drive pricing a little bit. So this last slide, yeah, it's going to move. I'm going to let this play maybe 10, maybe a couple dozen times. It took me 4 days to get this actually to work in PowerPoint. Leigha has been making fun of me the entire week for it, but I finally got the GIF to work and it moves. But so if you look at, this is why I don't have a login to the database anymore also, by the way. So this is the distribution of what subscribers pay per month. And you can see it starts at 0, goes up to 60. You can see how the movement has occurred. So January of 2012, top rate was $24. And you can see the shift and push forward as time goes forward. So you can see we increased the top rate again, and you can see there's many more subscribers paying $40 or more. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Leigha, and she's going to tell you guys about our data and analytics practice.
It's a pretty good gift, though. I like
Thank you. I think it's fantastic. Yeah.
That's for the gift, I think.
Yeah, that is for the gift, right? Yeah.
So like I said, I run the data and analytics team. It's a pretty small team. I have two. Oh, is it going in and out? Okay. I have two people who report to me, Nancy and Eric. I think they're out there. And so for us, like I said, it's a small team, and so it's kind of difficult to manage a whole data and analytics practice with a few of us, but we do it. So what do we do all day? It kind of falls into three different buckets. The first one being data engineering. So we do a lot of our ETL data work, a lot of the automation. We also architect our data warehouse, and all of that, again, is just with about 3 people. We are hiring for another position, though, if anybody wants to apply. So all of that data we take to turn it into something pretty meaningful using like our 360 customer view. And once we get that data to be meaningful, then we put some predictive analytic models on top of it. Some of my favorites are here. So subscriber churn, I've spent a lot of time working on that one, as well as propensity to subscribe, looking at different demographic data to try and figure out who are our best customers. And then we also do rate and volume forecasting, and then look at engagement behavior. And then, as Will mentioned, one that's near and dear to my heart is the pricing elasticity model, which we do use to price people. And then finally, once we get that kind of developed data and then those models, we put it into some reporting, or we provide insights to some of our top executives to really try to help show them some trends in the business. We look at start and stops of subscriptions, and then we also look at different like deliverability metrics, product traffic, things like that. And once we show our publisher or whoever, we make a lot of organizational decisions around that data. And I think that that's pretty cool that we're able to take data and analytics and try to solve for a problem that I think a lot of local newspapers haven't quite solved yet. So to dive a little bit deeper into analytics, since this is a data science conference, one of my most favorite is our engagement cluster model. So this is our 3 different digital products. We look at the e-paper, our website, and then also our email and newsletters. So to give you a little bit of data points, so for example, we have 9 million unique visitors to our website monthly, and we also send about 25 million emails per month, and we also have 80,000 unique readers to our e-paper. So for this model, it took a lot of powerful, we really needed a pretty good data set and a pretty good tool to kind of, create this set of data, which we use SageMaker for, just throwing out that Amazon reference. But I think what's really cool about this is that you see that there are some distinct use cases for e-paper. So there's a lot of product loyalty tied to our digital products. So somebody who wants to look at our website to get their news, they look at the website and pretty much the website only. Same thing for e-paper and then also for email. So I think for something like this, we can take to our product team and say, like, maybe we should really focus on this area. And then you have like the random people who don't really know which product they want to use, and they're all over the place. So then when I got here in 2015, I think you guys saw where the rate started increasing on that one slide that Will showed. That's when I got there. So I developed the churn model in 2015 to try to figure out exactly why a subscriber stops their subscription with us. And one of the top variables was digital engagement. So if they use our digital products or not. And then the other one being if they're a current auto-pay subscriber. And I think that makes quite a bit of sense. I don't know how many subscriptions you guys have that you just completely forget about and you just keep paying. I think there might be some similarities with our subscribers as well. And then of course with the digital engagement, that makes sense. If you're using the product, you're going to want to keep using the product. So then in 2019, this year, as we moved to our cloud platform, I wanted to take a second look at our churn model and throw in some more variables and really see, at a detailed level, what's the cause of a subscriber to churn. So the top one, it's a deliverability metric. So if you don't get your paper, or your paper is wet, or it's late, then that kind of negatively impacts your likelihood to subscribe. And then the second one, as Will mentioned, because volume is decreasing, we're having to make that up on the rate side. So the second one is basically like the frequency of which we increase our subscriber prices. So those two together in conjunction, like if you have poor service and we've priced you a lot, you're probably going to stop, which makes sense. Like if you're paying for a product and you're not getting it, like why do you want to keep paying for it? So we're able to take these two different variables and, again, take it to top executives and say, like, hey, these are the two things that I think we should really focus on, and then try to throw money at solving that problem. So when I took those 3 models to our publisher, this was her aha moment. So she said, now I understand the value of analytics for the AJC. And I don't know about you, but that is kind of like my career goal, is to make data science operational and make sense to people who might not have that mindset, and be able to use it to solve problems specifically for the newspaper industry where nobody else is solving it, like we've said. So this was the best day of my life so far. So how do we get there? There's been quite a bit of work on our side to really get to that point. And with the help of Amazon Web Services, we've really accomplished a lot of that. So about a year and a half ago, we decided that we needed to move away from our legacy systems we were using SQL Server, and I don't know if you guys still use SQL Server. I don't know if that's still a thing, but is it? Oh, sorry. I'm on the cloud now, so yeah, I'm in the cloud. So when we were looking at the cloud platforms, like obviously we were looking at the big three. We've got Google, Microsoft, Amazon. I hope that's not important. Thank you, stage help. So we looked at all these different products that AWS provides, and there's a lot. There are a lot of products, but that's a good thing, really. So I tried, I think, 5 different ways to really get our finalized product on the cloud how I wanted it. So I used Athena, I looked at Glue, Data Pipeline, and we really kind of decided on using Redshift in conjunction with Lambda and S3. And then, of course, they also provide some pretty great machine learning and AI services as well. So for us, we ended up mostly with SageMaker, and SageMaker is just hosted Jupyter notebooks. We write in Python pretty much all day long, and Python's my new favorite language. But so SageMaker has completely changed our practice, honestly. So the cluster model that I showed you guys, that was done with SageMaker and Redshift, and that couldn't have been done with SQL Server. I think anytime we tried to run a query against our email data, I don't know if they ever finished, honestly. Yeah, they're still running. So this is our finalized product. So obviously we have all of our raw data. It's just a bunch of raw data, unprocessed. And we land that in our data lake on Amazon S3. And then we use Lambda, like I said, with Python to automate all of that and do some just ETL stuff, and loading that into our data warehouse, which is Amazon Redshift. I'm upset by that N. What happened with the N? And then finally, we do a lot of the analytics on top of Redshift. So Tableau Server, we use that. We've also looked at QuickSight, Amazon's product. And again, we use SageMaker directly with Redshift. All of it kind of flows together really, really well. And yeah, it makes my heart sing is what I keep saying. And then, of course, we have all of our operations stuff. We do a lot for just deliverability again. And then we do third-party consulting for other newspapers. So if you guys have a newspaper and you need some data science, let us know. And one thing I really want to emphasize before we wrap up is that, so I mentioned at the time Eric was not with us, so it was just Nancy and I doing this migration from SQL Server to the cloud, and it was just the two of us. And we also had a full-time job to do, and we did it in 6 weeks. So